Galvin asks, Bobby, I use both a Kemper and Marshall for recording guitars. What's the best way to deal with guitar tone fizz?
Well, Galvin, I'm happy to hear that you're finally ready to start mixing your own projects. That's what this channel is all about. Now, as far as fizziness goes when it comes to heavy guitar tone, it's a battle that we all face as metal or hard rock engineers. And the reason is simple, is that most heavy guitar tones, when not closely attended to, can create this annoying fizz that's very difficult to get rid of. Now, believe it or not, this fizziness has very little to do with mixing, and in my opinion, has much more to do with the source than most people realize. I know I didn't realize this myself when I started out. I'd often throw a mic on my cab, not paying attention to what cab I'm using or strict attention to my mic placement, or load up a setting on my amp sim and wonder why my tone is fizzy, and I'd always try to get rid of it with EQ. And as you probably know, this sometimes can be very difficult and sometimes actually even impossible, even when using a low pass filter. So let me address the source here. You mentioned the Kemper. The funny thing about the Kemper is that it is an amazing tool, and I've heard people achieve amazing results with Kempers, and I've also heard people achieve results that sound no better than a Pod 2.0 from 20 years ago. The trick with a Kemper, like any other amp sim, is to use a quality impulse response. And if you haven't downloaded mine, you could download my impulse response for absolutely free. It'll definitely help you achieve a great heavy guitar tone at the source that's not fizzy. So always remember that even though you're using a Kemper, you really have to pay close attention to the source tone, just like you would when you mic a live amp. I can't tell you the amount of times in the studio people have brought in Kempers and an Axe Effects and a Line 6 Helix, and their tone was completely unusable. Luckily, the fix is easy, and it's to use a great sounding impulse response, like I said. Now, you mentioned that you also have trouble with fizzy guitar tones when you're miking your Marshall, and my advice here would be to pay close attention to the cab that you're using. Certain cabs and speakers are way fizzier than others, and I'm personally a huge fan of V30 speakers. I'm not too sure about what speakers you're using and what exact cab you're using, but let's say your cab is a little fizzy. You can help combat this by taking your microphone and placing it further out toward the edge of the cone instead of toward the center of the cone. And also, if you take your microphone and place it really close to the grill, if your tone is really fizzy, the natural proximity effect that will take place will help round out your tone and accentuate the lower mids. So believe me, I hear you. Fizzy guitar tones is a very common problem. A lot of times when people send me stuff to mix, a lot of times the amp tones are fizzy. But the truth is, it's best to deal with it at the source. Using a low pass filter rolling off all frequencies above 12, 10, or maybe 8K definitely helps. But again, try to get it right at the source. Hopefully that helps you out, and let me know how that works out for you. Now, on the topic of guitars, I want to let you know that right now you could have direct access to my guitar production workshop for absolutely free. In this workshop, I talk about crafting a professional guitar tone, how to deal with amp sims, mic placement, my approach to editing guitars for a fully professional result that you hear on your favorite records, and finally, mixing guitars. Again, you could have direct access to this workshop for absolutely free. There's a link below in this video's description if you're interested. And until next time, happy mixing.